right, welcome everyone to our afternoon training session. Today we're going to be going through contract periods and how Gyro can auto-calculate these things for you. So these dates I'm talking about here are these dates here: contract start, estimated completion, and actual completion. And we can go through also how these figures are adjusted throughout using Gyro. So the first place to look here is I'm loaded up a job here. This is just a demo database, and we've got this contract period here, and it's defaulting to working days. We've got most states, according to HIA contracts, are using working days, with the exception of Queensland and Victoria, who are using calendar days. All right, so all the other states using working days. So most of our calculations involve working days. Now, the idea here is you're working out how long your contract period will be. So you might have a contract period of, say, 230 working days. And you just enter that into this field here. Now, if you change these states here, this one here is a New South Wales job. We could change that to Queensland. And you'll notice that this changes to calendar days. And a little button's popped up here. It allows us to do a bit of a calculation to sort of work back from working day to calendar days. So we click that button there. We can enter our working days into here. And this will give you a calendar day conversion for us. So it has a couple of extra fields here that we can make allowances for some of these additional things that can affect the time for construction. So rain days is one of those. So you'll find that in Queensland, actually in all states, you can claim adverse weather. Just be wary that in Queensland and Victoria, you need to make an allowance. So you need to try and anticipate how many rain days you'll have. So you might need to look at your Bureau of Meteorology and try and work out an average amount of rain that you'd have in the period that you're constructing the home. All right, so we've defaulted to 30 days here. It's anticipated that we've got 6 public holidays. For this, if you know that you're going to have more public holidays than that, you need to adjust this figure here as well. And shutdown days. So this is referring to industry shutdown days. And all states can use industry shutdown days in a roundabout kind of way. But again, New South Wales and Queensland, you do need to make sure that you've anticipated that. So if you think your construction time will fall over the Christmas period from the 22nd of December on, for that around that 3-week period, you need to try and make some allowances for that. So most of these contracts allow a 3-week period, which might be 15 working days or 20 calendar days, or 21 calendar days. All right, so just hit OK on that. It's updated this field for me here to say it's 379 calendar days based on the calculation that we put in there. All right, I'll just change this back to New South Wales for the rest of our example. All right, so by default, we won't have a contract start date because those are determined automatically for you as you start to fill out the Gyro tasks. So that'll just be a blank field once you create a brand new job. Even once you put that contract period in, it's still waiting on tasks to be entered. So again, these all vary via state according to the HIA contracts. So all states are working days except for Victoria, who work on calendar days. We've got 20 working days for New South Wales and Queensland and WA. South Australia is also 20 working days to start the contract, but we're using an addendum G in our contracts because the HIA contract doesn't specify that. Victoria is 21 calendar days. And ACT, just to be different, is 15 working days. All right, so we've got some updates coming to Gyro soon, which will have those new dates for Victoria and ACT coming out. Now, this contract start date, we have a look at the tasks now. By default, it's working off the site establishment approved task. Now, this is configurable per database. So if we go to the Tools menu and go to Group Edit, this is the contract start task here. So if you have another task that you prefer to use, you can change that here. This is our suggestion, and it is the default to use this site establishment approved. All right, so site establishment approved has some rules in here. You're required to have the proof of finance and land received before you can put the site establishment approved in. And it will pop in automatically if you've completed both job orders issued or job orders for issued and proof of finance and land received. So if you enter both of those in, site establishment approved will come in automatically. You can adjust that date. So all of the contracts have wording to the effect saying that if you're waiting on something from the client or there's something outside of your control that you're waiting on, you don't need to mark this task off site establishment approved because you haven't received all the required information. So you can make this a bit of a later date if you need to. All right, so if we have a look at that, we've got site establishment approved set here on the 23rd of the 8th, 2019. And our estimated completion, our contract start date is a month after that. I'll just reload that job. '20th of the 9th, it's better. All right, so 20th of the 9th is our calculated contract start date, which is 20 working days after the 23rd of the 8th. So if we change this date, if I change that forward to September, 23rd of September. All right, I will, once I edit that task, I do actually have to reload that job. So next time we come in, it will recalculate that figure for us. So now it's the 22nd of the 10th. All right, and it's given us this estimated completion now as well. So that's calculated on your contract start date and adds on your contract period and then any other additional days on hold you might have. All right, so additional days on hold can be made up of a few things here. So public holidays is one of those. So if the build goes over public holidays, iGyro will calculate that for you. This is an old job and it still hasn't been marked off as complete, which is why it's saying there's 3 of 1 public holidays. So during the contract period of 230 days, we're expecting to have 1 public holiday. But in this example, we've gone over that, gone over contract time, and we've actually gone through 3 public holidays. All right, so the industry shutdown period is a bit of a legacy item and will be removed in a future update because that needs to be taken into account when you're creating your contract periods. So if you anticipate that you're going over the industry shutdown period, you'll make an allowance for that in this figure here that you're entering. All right, if it's unforeseen, so if something holds the job up and the job takes longer to complete and then you therefore go through a Christmas period, you can make a claim for that. So we just put an on hold period on for that. So you can do that by clicking the on hold button and you can specify the date. And you may only want to claim until the new year potentially. All right, and you can put a description in there for that as well. All right, so along with that, we've got our adverse weather, which is calculated as well. So as you progress through, obviously you can't foresee adverse weather. So this will just tick up as the days go on. We collect information from the Weather Bureau and it will tell you whether you've received more than 5 mil of rain at your locality. If you have, it'll add on to this adverse weather and it will then affect all of your estimated completion times and these figures in here. All right, if you didn't want that on hold date in there, we can just highlight the row and hit the delete button on the keyboard. I'll take that out. All right, now one other thing that can affect these dates here is, we'll just have a look at the tasks again here. All right, so we've got our site establishment approved. So this is when your contract start is usually based 20 working days after this date here. But in all these contracts, they also say if you start on site before that anticipated time, that's when your contract period actually starts as well. All right, so one way to bypass that is if we go back to the home screen and go to site schedule. So this is the Siteworks commenced task. So if you modify any of these first set of tasks here, so you put a completed date in any of those, it will automatically put this date in here for Siteworks commenced. You can also modify that as well. All right, so we brought that forward. We brought that forward a bit. Our contract start date would actually then be the 24th of the 7th. I've just got a question from Brett here. A variation should be raised. Yes, yeah, that's right, Brett. So we've got variations in here, so you should raise a variation potentially. When you're using on hold periods, we've also got some standard letters around this as well. So if we go to the merge docs, actually, we've just got this confirmation of commencement date here. So that's an important letter to send out when you're starting your job as well. But we've also got on hold letters in here. All right, so it's called the construction paused letter. So you would run that letter and it would generate a form for you to give to the client to let them know to expect the delay there and what the reason is. So when you are using those on hold periods, you can leave these dates open as well. So we get to a point and we hand the site over to the client, they need to construct a retaining wall or do something else themselves. We'd put the site on hold. At that time, our contract period stops ticking, and you can just leave that as an open-ended date. You obviously want your description on there. It's okay that for now. Let's reload that job and show you the warning that you'll get if that's on hold. When you reload that job, you'll get the job is currently on hold, letting you know that you do have an open on hold period in here. Once you know the end date, you can put that in. Not sure why it's got an exclamation there. Oh, I've got the 20th there. 2020, 21, that's better. All right, so if we okay that, the next time we load this job, that message will go away. And we should also generate this off hold notification and send that out to the client as well. All right, do we have any other questions?
In client visibility through the portal, what are they seeing around these dates?
What was that question? Sorry, Glenn.
The client's visibility through the client portal. What are they?
Yes, good question. So it is important to get this right, obviously. One, for your own purposes, you need to know when you're starting, when you're finishing. You'd also need to send those letters off to the clients. Helps you avoid liquidated damages, of course, if you keep under those contract times. But if you log into the client portal, so if you're using the client portal, allow your clients to have access, they will have some visibility to this as well. So they will see the contract start date, the estimated completion time, the actual completion time, which we haven't spoken about yet, the contract period as per the contract, And they'll have this little timeline, just let them know how far progressed through that time they are. So again, this is a demo job. We've gone over 278% of the contract time. But hopefully you're underneath your contract time, and this bar will only be part way through and give your client a percentage of the time that's used. So the actual completion time again is task driven. So we just jump back to the site schedule, and one of the very last tasks on the site schedule, we've got practical completion. So our actual contract finish time is whatever date you put into here. All right, that will be the actual completion time. All right, so it is important to obviously read through your contracts per state. We've got a few updates coming out for the various different states, Victoria and ACT. So watch out for those. And I think that's all I need to cover here today. So hopefully that was straightforward enough, but I'll stay here for a moment if there's any more questions. All right, looks like we're good. All right, thank you for joining everyone, and we'll catch you again next time.